Hello, and thank you for stopping by on the Therapist Poetry Podcast, where we meet real people from real life and they share their real experiences with us, their real stories. We're actually about to go and meet a therapist now, so follow me and let's go meet them. Oh, I nearly forgot. If you are moved by their story, then don't forget to let them know and leave them a comment. Don't be stingy and keep all that positivity to yourself. Hello, today we've got Carlia on. Thank you for coming, Carlia.
Thank you so much for having me, Ricky.
You're welcome. And Kalia is a counsellor in South Africa. And today you're here to talk about your experience of OCD. Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes. So, yeah, OCD is it's a very interesting thing I've come to know about for quite some time. I've been 12 years old when it was the first time I started experiencing OCD symptoms. And to say the least, it was terrifying at first, but as the years have gone by, I've grown to like I said, to get to know this disease in very different facets. So, yeah, in short, it's a very debilitating disease in terms of it can very keep your mind captive, in terms of it can really disrupt your daily functioning and it can make you feel completely crazy and abnormal if you don't know what's happening to you at the time. So a bit more about my type of OCD is I have what is called a scrupulosity OCD. So that's my basically my main theme. It's a religion OCD. So basically the OCD centers around my religion and my religion is Christianity. I'm a
Okay.
Christian. So, and another theme I have is relationship OCD as well, and a little bit of not just right OCD as well, so a bit of symmetry and all that as well. So basically, my OCD is more about obsessions, more obsessions than compulsions. And maybe I should just explain that. So obsessions is basically intrusive thoughts. So you have these unwanted thoughts that basically makes you feel that you are putting yourself in danger or you're doing something terrible against God or you are sinning too badly and then you're basically condemned. And then you're not going to be saved. You're a bad person. So there's a lot of morality in this type of OCD as well. And then the relationship OCD is more centers around fear around relationships. Is the person right for you? Is the person going to hurt you? Is your partner going to be abusive? Are you going to be able to live with this partner's flaws for the rest of your life? So it sounds actually so stupid, but it consumes you completely with this type of fear. So that's in short, just a bit of more info about my type of OCD. And yeah, and just another thing, I got diagnosed in 2019 then. So it's been quite a while. I've lived with this condition for a very long time, not knowing what was wrong with me. So yeah, it's quite scary when you think about it. But afterwards, when I was diagnosed, my life changed for the better. Things started making sense finally, and it's still a battle every day. But today, I can confidently say it's been going a lot better. It's definitely a victory. Um, but the thing about OCD, it's always going to be there. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's going to get you unexpected. Other times you'll be able to know how to handle it. So yeah, it was quite interesting.
Mm. Thank you for explaining a couple of the different OCD ways that you have it, relationship and script. Did you say scriptureless?
Scrupulosity, yes.
Scrupulosity. Okay, I've not heard of that. So thank you for sharing that. And I mean, at 12 years old is when that started for you, and I can hear that you've been on quite a bit of a journey with it, and there's been times when that was a lot harder, and times when it's been more easy to manage. So thank you for sharing that. And I mean, what is so at 12 years old is when that started for you. So at that time, what is one thing that you wish that you knew at that time that would have been helpful for you?
I wished I knew what OCD was.
Yeah.
Um, at that time, my family and people, mental health wasn't a very open topic. People never talked about things like that. So, and I was in a very religious household, so I had a lot of examples of Christianity that was presented to me.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of, it wasn't a bad thing. It was just, there was that certain image and certain way of living that had to be done. And I had this pressure on
Mm.
me as well. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to be a good Christian. And then this obsessive thought started, and I felt like, but what the hell is wrong with me? This is not normal. So that's one thing I would have really, if I just have known this is something that exists. It's a
Yeah.
disease. I think it would have spared me a lot of trauma and stress and anxiety.
Yeah. And I mean, I can hear that pressure in there as well when you said I wanted to be a good Christian.
Yeah.
Mm. Was there something for you of feeling like that you weren't a good Christian at that time?
It was just the type of thoughts that I experienced. It was mostly, these blasphemous thoughts. And I use the term blasphemous thoughts because it makes the sense
Yeah.
to me. So it's usually these awful, inappropriate type of thinking you would think against God or Jesus. And you can imagine someone who loves her religion, you can imagine what distress that would cause to someone. And also sometimes you had the intrusive feelings as well. So sometimes you literally felt like someone who was a bad person, someone who would want to think thoughts like that. And I was in a place where I was like, oh, I just thought this. What just happened? Do I mean this? Maybe I meant it. What's going to happen to me now? It was things like that that was very scary.
Mm. Yeah, I can hear the self-blame in there. And you had counselling around the time or later on. So just how has counselling helped you to understand your experience of OCD?
Well, so since I only started receiving counseling when I was 19.
Okay.
Uh, so back then, I realized that there is actually something you can do about it. I think for the most part, the psychologist that helped me when I was in university, she basically explained to me that this is something that can be dealt with.
Uh-huh.
And she taught me CBT, so she taught me a bit
Yeah.
of cognitive behavioral therapy, and you basically just talked about it, and she helped me identify the irrational thinking patterns. And also the role of medication also played a very big role for me because this was something that I couldn't handle on my own. I needed that pharmaceutical intervention as well.
Yeah.
But both of them basically helped a lot.
Yeah. And you mentioned CBT there. Is CBT I know that CBT is something that works well with OCD. Would you say CBT is one of the better ways to work as a counsellor with OCD?
I actually forgot now, but yeah, CBT is one of the approaches that work, but ERP, exposure and response therapy, is actually your better option as
Okay.
well. That is something I also uh, got involved in, but only much later. So at first it was CBT, which helped a bit to manage the thoughts and the evidence and all that. But then way later on, I got involved with ERP, and then I realized that challenging the thoughts and just letting them go. And what was how can I reframe this? So basically, you're not giving in to the compulsion. So you're not
Yeah.
gonna go into the thinking pattern trying to stop it or replace it with another thought. You just let it go. And you expose yourself to situations that's gonna basically trigger those thoughts.
Oh wow. Okay. And that you found that more helpful than CBT, or they worked well in conjunction.
Yeah, the ERP for me personally worked a bit more effectively because it challenges you a bit more upfront.
Wow. Okay. I mean, it's kind of the same question, but maybe there's a different answer for this. Is there
Okay.
any counselling theory that's helped you to understand OCD better or your OCD better?
Oh, that's a good question. I think let me just think quickly. So this is more about maybe the cognitive therapy, I think a little bit more because the cognitive theory
Yeah,
around it, since it's so much about uh, co irrational thinking, it's a lot of irrational thinking and a lot of behavioral aspects as well. So I think, yeah, I think it's a mixture between like, the cognitive based
yeah.
therapy, it's cognition and behavior. I think it's mostly
Okay.
focused on.
Something in there about challenging beliefs, challenging thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And if you could you name one thing that had a negative impact on your experience of OCD?
Yes, definitely. I think the thing that was the most negative was the lack of knowledge
Mm,
um, of this type of OCD because it made me extremely alone because I didn't know who I can trust to tell these things to because I was afraid of the condemnation, the fear of, oh, no, but in that case, you are definitely a sinner or you are definitely doomed because you fought A, B, and C.
yeah.
So it was constantly that thing of, but who am I supposed to tell this to without feeling, or without the fear of them confirming my fear, if that
Mm,
makes sense. So, yeah, that was the negative thing is the lack of knowledge.
yeah. And I mean, I would imagine from what you said, that was for at least 7 years between 12 when you started to have OCD and 19 when you first went for counselling.
Mm, yeah,
That was quite a long time for you to have that all on yourself without having anyone to share that with.
definitely. It was tough. And due to that, I think I've lost a lot of my childhood as well during that time because there were so many unnecessary fear and anxiety that happened that time that I missed out on many opportunities to just simply enjoy my life as a 12-year-old and basically my whole high school
Mm,
experience because it was always there. The only time where I basically was free from those thoughts when I was asleep,
mm,
sometimes not even.
mm.
So yeah.
There's a lot of loss in there that comes with it as well. And again, if you can, could you name one thing that had a positive impact on your experience of OCD?
Yes, strangely enough, it brought me closer to my religion.
Yeah.
Ironically, because you would have thought that it would have maybe make you like completely disregard it or tell yourself, you know what, this is just too much. Let's just accept fate and that I'm not meant to be a good Christian. In this case, it actually brought me closer in my Christianity. So that's actually what made it so interesting.
Yeah. Could you say a little bit more about that and how it did bring you closer?
So basically, it just basically helped me realize how big the Lord's mercy is, basically. He showed me throughout my life that he knew what was happening to me and he never left me, even though it felt that way. And I mean, even though today I still have those doubts where I still believe that what if I'm not really saved or what if I'm just a mistake who's doomed anyway? But then somehow the Lord always comes back to me and tells me in his word that, but he sees me. He knows this is not something that was in my control.
Yeah.
And it made me a better person today in terms of in my counseling career and being able to empathize with people much more
Mm,
easier. And like I said, it's not easy always. There are still days where I doubt myself, but other days, then
mm.
it's just better. So,
There's two positives there. There's bringing you closer to your religion and how it's helped you in your counselling work as well.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, what other parts of your life did your experience of OCD impact?
Well, many areas. My relationships with my family, friends, with myself.
Mm.
With like my religion obviously was one of the relationships that was impacted as well. Impacted my uh how can I explain this? My experience of overall things, like how I experience life.
Yeah.
It basically influences everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. So in terms of impacting your relationships, is there anything you'd like to share about how that impacted in your relationships?
I would love to share that actually, because I think it would help people become aware of mental health as well, and how it influences the people around you.
Yeah.
So in my case, my parents, I think they struggled a bit more with it than I did, I think personally, because there were times where I was so overwhelmed with OCD that it led to depression as well. So I had moments where I had suicidal tendencies as well, and I wanted to, and I did actually mention it. Somehow I mentioned it to my mom this one day, and from there on, they were very skeptical about my sanity sometimes. So they were very overprotective and very hesitant with what they say to me. But in due time, that grew a bit better. Um, but yeah, so in that way, it affected the relationship a bit negatively because I was seen now as somebody that was not very strong, a bit of a weakling, if that makes sense. So, however, I don't think my parents think badly of me. They're just, they're not used to this type of thing. They don't know what this is. So they're just scared and cautious, basically.
And I mean, I can hear that that's part of why you wanted to share that as well, to get that knowledge out there so that people in relationships aren't as scared and they do know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one last question before we hear your poem, which is what advice would you give others experiencing OCD?
I think I'm thinking now if I'm looking back to myself as a young 12-year-old, I would say go go find out. Don't don't be afraid to let someone know about your fears.
Yeah.
Um, because that's a big mistake I made was I kept it quiet for too long. I struggled with it in silence for way too long.
Mm.
And I think today, since we have Google, and not that I say you should always trust Google because it's not always the best way, but just to search around, go search something on the internet or go on YouTube, or maybe just tell your parents how you feel, or tell them, maybe I should go and see someone.
Mm.
Just be open about it. I'm saying it with very hesitance as well because it's not easy, but I think personally that is something you need to do is you should verbalize it.
Mm. I can hear how difficult that is to do, but equally how much it impacts you and how much it's helped you to have that knowledge and to have those people around you that can help, and
Yeah,
that can be really really useful to be where you are today, where you're able to come on here and talk about your experience because you know about it and you know what's happening for you.
exactly.
I'm really excited to hear your poem. Are you ready to share your poem with us?
I am.
Yeah, cool. Well, over to you.
The Shadow Man. I came to meet the Shadow Man at only 12 years old. It was then that my mind was sold. All part of an evil plan. To destroy and kill all innocence gone. I keep running up on a massive mountain hill. It never stops. Self-doubt my only friend, and constant fear until the end. I must be insane, my mind says, or else led by my flesh. This illness, a true mastermind in its stillness. Is it me or is it him? Endless questions, it's so grim. Am I worthy to be forgiven? No, it seems I'm the villain. Condemned, an eternal sinner, the devil whispers. That's the song of the Shadow Man, playing inside my head, over and over again. The obsessions and the intrusive thoughts haunts me and ties my stomach into knots. The battle is over, I've lost again. Rematch. Until the day came when the Shadow Man was tricked into shame, and the victory was finally mine. It was about time. The lies that held me captive was set free by my Savior in heaven, deceit replaced with truth. Now I can confidently say that my testimony is here to stay.
Thank you for watching. Seriously, it means the world to me and our guests that you took the time to watch. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it really does help the channel to grow. And equally, you won't miss what's coming next if you do that. The aim of this channel and what me and the guests are trying to do is we're trying to inspire, and we're also trying to give other people a sense of belonging. And at the very least, we're trying to make other people feel seen and heard. And that's our hope with this channel. If this video spoke to you anyway, then please do check out our other videos just here. We will catch you in the next episode.